This is the ROG RTX 5090 Astral, one of, if not the fastest graphics cards on the planet. You could fit so much FPS in this bad girl. But even gaming on top of the line hardware like this, and ignoring that you basically need to be the Sultan of Brunei to get one, it feels like every new game that comes out has terrible performance. So to get the frames we want, we had to find another way.
Hi.
Oh, jeez, I didn't see you there. Just kidding. You're huge. For the uninitiated, Splave holds the #1 all-time spot on the hardware bot overclocking leaderboard, holds countless overclocking world records, and builds some of the world's fastest computers over at Splave PC. And he's gonna show us how to take this pile of parts and make it even faster than it would otherwise be, pretty much step by step. So if you happen to have an $8,000 computer at home, you can follow right along. But seriously, you might want to, because the same principles we're using today should apply to pretty much any modern build, and when we're done, not only will our machine be faster, it will also, probably, draw less power. I mean, probably, right? Like, do we know that for sure?
890 watts, holy.
In case it doesn't though, our friends at Seasonic sponsored this video and sent over their very best power supply unit, the Prime Titanium 1600 watt, which literally can handle 2 RTX 5090s. Looks so small when he holds it.
That's what she said.
Oh, it's gonna be that kind of video, all right. We have kind of an order of operations for our builds, but I'm gonna play follow the leader today, so what do you wanna start with?
I usually start with the motherboard.
Okay, everyone has the same order of operations. The ASRock X870E THICC was your choice. Can you walk us through why this is your preferred motherboard for tuning?
The BIOS is very in-depth, and there's lots of options that we can play with.
I couldn't help noticing none of what you said really overlapped with the main selling points that motherboard manufacturers focus on, like, oh, we have Lightning Gaming USB and a fancy thing for releasing your PCIe cards. You're just more of a nuts and bolts kind of guy?
I do like this thing.
Oh, that's a really quick M.2 heatsink release.
Yeah. Other than that, no. I like the overclocking stuff.
So really you chose this motherboard the same way that other influencers choose their motherboards.
The most expensive one.
Man knows what he likes. Let's explain our choice of CPU. We went with the 9800X3D because
They're all 3D cores, and there's no games we have to play with clocking the 3D cores different than the regular cores.
just to be clear, when he says there's no games we'll have to play to do that, he doesn't mean video games that don't require that
software
thing.
Yeah,
we don't have to fool around with it. I forgot we're installing a contact frame, and I could explain why we're doing that, but I'll let Alan do it.
So I like the contact frame because we've seen better memory overclocking with using the contact frame over the stock one.
Hey, has anyone actually set you up with one of these yet?
No.
Seriously, you came out
What
and
the hell?
collabed with us before and we never got you a screwdriver?
Look at the backpack on the floor, silly.
You can't give this man the commuter bag. Like, look at this.
He's like a little schoolgirl.
Yeah, what the, we gotta get him the full-size bag, Jake. Coming back to memory, I was a little surprised to see that you really don't f with higher speed memory. This is still DDR5 6000. It just runs at extremely tight latencies. So is this the ideal?
Yeah, because you want to keep the memory controller in like a 1-to-1 sync for latency on AMD currently, and that's around maybe 6800 on a really, really good sample.
And a highly binned kit like this, realistically, you can play around with it a little bit. If you want a little bit higher latencies and higher clock speeds, you can do that because these are just golden dies, essentially. Now, TechSpot did a piece recently, and they found that DDR5 8000 could actually outperform DDR5 6000, and that's in spite of the fact that the memory controller runs at half the speed once you go above 6000. But with Alan's help, we should be able to take that memory controller and boost it above 6000, getting overall better performance. So you're thinking sweet spot 6400 CL28?
Yeah, around there.
Let's put in an SSD. We chose this because it holds data.
It's a Rocket 5, those are fast.
Yeah, it's fast, it's a rocket. Look at it go, whoa, God! For our case, we went for the Fractal Torrent, which is built for torrents of air running through it. Okay, there's all your fresh air for the GPU right there. Honeycomb mesh at the back, top mounted power supply, and nothing but airflow at the front. I'm just disappointed we didn't get to use one of the coolest features of this case, these 180 by 38 millimeter fans that would normally be in the front. But we're gonna have an AIO liquid cooler, so they go over there. For our good enough AIO cooler, we've gone with the Lumen S36 RGB, and we chose it because
Fractal's nice.
Fractal is nice. All right, Jake knows why we chose it. It's because it is a non-Asetek design, so you're not bound to their sort of patented, how everyone else does it design. The pump is actually embedded in the radiator, which detracts from cooling less than you would probably think, because that's right where the fan hub is. Right? You weren't getting any airflow there anyway. It also looks nice, just like Fractal is. Oh, and we scratched it. Let's have you talk about your thermal paste while I mount this stupid radiator. We're using Splave's own thermal paste.
Splave one is my thermal paste, and it's very metallic, so it can be difficult to spread. You can either heat it up a little bit with like a hairdryer, or you can just He-Man it, push really hard with your thumb on the spatula and get a nice thin layer.
Right, yeah, see, for some people that's an option.
I usually use that option.
I think your forearms are probably about twice as big around as my biceps. For my effort, how much performance benefit do I get?
You're gonna see significant improvement in temperature, which will lead, if you use, say, PBO on AMD, you'll gain performance just from using better thermal paste.
But we're not using that today, are we? We're using this, a thermal paste that apparently costs tens of dollars per gram.
Correct.
And what the hell is this?
So this is our hybrid paste. It looks like normal thermal paste.
Sure does.
But we have a special blend of gallium and other ingredients that I will not disclose.
Sounds like you're trying to sell me fried chicken. We have our special blend of spices. There's salt and some other we're not going to tell you.
So basically, it has liquid metal in it, and we're trying to give you the benefits of liquid metal without the negatives of, say, shooting liquid metal across your motherboard and killing it.
It being impossible to clean up.
Yes, liquid metal drying out and leaving you with no cooling. We have a backup layer of regular thermal paste, so it's kind of giving you the best of both worlds.
Let's see how challenging this one is to spread. I'll try not to use too much.
Okay.
It's expensive. We're gonna really target where the compute dies are here. Put a little bit up there for the IO die. There you go. Oh wow. That spreads super easy. This is the part where we break the traditional order a little bit. I want to put this GPU in, but why don't you explain why we chose the ROG Astral, other than because you think it's funny that you can lift it and I can't. I gotta put this down. Can you hold this? Thank you.
Obviously, just from what you were just saying is beefcake of a cooler here. ASUS is all about overclocking, so they support with GPU tweak software and stuff. They make it real easy for us to get all the performance out of these cards.
We have a bit of an unconventional cooling setup for this build. Fresh intake right here, all for the GPU, and we're pulling fresh air into this radiator for the CPU, and if our RAM gets a little bit warmer, then...
We'll let the PSU suck all the hot air out.
Sure! Hey, speaking of power supply, now's a great time to talk about our sponsor for this build, Seasonic. Naturally, a build of this caliber deserves the very best from Seasonic's lineup, and that's why we went with the TX 1600 watt prime unit. This thing is 80 plus titanium efficient. It's ATX 3.1, meaning it has the newer 12 volt 2x6 power connector. In fact, it has two of them in case you're building an AI PC or something like that. And as always, it comes with Seasonic's acclaimed lengthy warranty. It reaches 94% peak efficiency according to cybernetics and has very low ripple. It basically doesn't get any better than this, except for the version of this that has like a better fan in it from Noctua. But we don't need that today because apparently this is not going to be a quiet build.
No, we're not worried about that right now.
Neat. All right, let's get a monitor. Something for you to note is we are going to be running at 1080p for all of our testing today, because when you are extreme overclocking or whatever, you are going to want to run into situations where you could be CPU bottlenecked, so that as you increase the speed of your CPU, you can really see the differences and measure them. Oh my God, I'm dead again. Oh, I missed, how did I miss that? He's right there, come on, buddy. So we're getting like anywhere from 450 to 600 FPS. Once you get into really high frame rates, things start to get a little variable. So you can beat that, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, why don't you walk us through what you're doing?
Sure. Right now, just gonna raise the CPU clocks, fixed clock, no boost.
No boost.
No boost.
Oh,
So
Well, that's not the meta I was quite expecting, but sure.
we'll just be conservative at first, and then
Sure, a conservative 5.4 gigahertz. We also increased the voltage a little bit. That made more of a difference than I was necessarily expecting.
maybe 600 to 700 now.
Damn, we're getting 600 to 700 FPS, and you haven't really even pushed it yet.
No, we could go further.
Okay, well, we should do that. If all this seems too easy for us to bother flying a professional out here, that's because everything we've been doing so far is the easy stuff that you don't really have to know anything to do.
Accurate.
I'm trying to say that the stuff that he knows is stuff we're going to get to in a minute. Like, I could have done that. Can you give me the dumb version of what exactly it is you just changed?
So, memory timings.
Okay, less dumb.
Basically, lower number good for most part, except for when it's not.
But some of them we tune a little bit,
Yeah.
and some of them we're literally setting to less than half.
Biggest one probably is refresh interval. Almost always the max value here is going to be stable and okay. It will raise the temperature of your memory, which can kind of show you too that it's working harder.
And for the people out there, who wanted to kind of learn this, how do they learn that 403 is an optimal TRFCSB refresh cycle time?
Some literature will tell you your TRAS should be like twice your TRCD divided by the square root of pi times 4.
Right.
But if you just test it yourself and lower it and see a gain in a benchmark or a game, then that is a good value for you, right? So literature be damned. Try it, and if it works for you, then go with that.
What are the odds if someone had a 9800X 3D and they bought a really nice kit of memory that they could just
Plop these numbers
put
in.
these numbers in?
Pretty high.
Okay.
Yeah, if you had the good memory, decent IMC.
Oh, here we go. We're in. We got 100 more megahertz. We're out.
Dope.
Hopefully I don't get VAC banned for just like popping into matches and exiting them after I get killed a bunch. Oh, see, here's the thing. Sometimes you can have too much of a good thing. That was too much clock speeds. I feel like not all of this is going to make it into the final cut, so if you want the extras, lmg.gg/flowplane. This is a rocket. Look at it go. Whoa, God. Oh, no, Katy Perry.
You told your wife you'd be leaving by now.
If she wanted someone who's punctual, she could have married someone punctual. Are there a lot of religious types in the overclocking community?
No.
What the kind of question is that?
Are you okay in there? Lauren Sanchez, ow! Realistically, I'm sure we could squeeze a few more megahertz out of it, but the idea was that you legitimately would be able to follow along at home, and these are pretty attainable settings if you have decent hardware. So let's go ahead and do our after benchmark.
It's a little bit better.
How we doing?
780 average and 300 on the 1% lows.
Okay, that's
Actually-
not that much.
I mean, it's better.
It's better, yes.
I mean, we're getting into very high frame rate territory. We might be getting limited by more than just the clock speed here. Should we do like a overclocking dude benchmark for a second here?
You can
Like
do whatever you
a
want.
Port Royal?
Man, I remember when 3D Mark's benchmarks were like cutting edge. Like you couldn't get a game that had graphics that good, and now it seems like they.
They're pretty good graphics.
Did good.
We're a little
got-
above average for this hardware.
We got a good score. Okay, why don't we see what we can do with a faster GPU? Just an idea.
Some fans going.
Okay.
It's better go faster, otherwise I think you might be out of a job.
Whoa. Okay, hold on a second. Now we're Ted and Bill. We're excellent. I'm calling it here. 900 FPS.
Really?
I'm gonna guess
I mean,
778.
795. Okay, that is less more than I was expecting.
What was it
And our
last time?
minimums are actually worse.
Well, that might just be margin of error. So now we're running Stellaris, which is like a top-down kind of real-time strategy game. This benchmark simulates 1 year of in-game time, and we have kind of our pre-made map here. It's very much a CPU benchmark, so we'll see what it does. But
We're getting only 51 FPS.
It does. This is a very intensive game. Hey, that's like 10% improvement.
Okay.
Oh, lower number better?
Yeah, on this one. This is the time it took to process.
Heck yeah.
Okay, so then there.
Well, that's awesome. All you have to do is get a master's degree in f***ing around with RAM timings.
Or buy a PC for me.
This guy, the sales pitch. Always be selling.
All right, let's quit monkeying around and
Okay.
flash the BIOS.
Enough monkeying. Let's flash this thing. Okay. Woo! Sorry.
This is on the big boy power BIOS.
Okay, so we've got more slider now. But 120% of what?
That is not as relevant anymore.
I see.
So
So is 100% 1,000?
technically, I don't know that.
Okay, so I should turn it all the way up.
We can try, but we can also.
Here, why don't you drive?
Just give him the remote, please.
I can show you kind of in a non-3D benchmark.
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
It would be cool. So we can see our amperage on the
Oh yeah, bad.
red is bad.
Okay. And we're all red. Oh, 12 volts times 10 amps. So we're at like 120 watts per.
Per pin. Do you want me to go higher or no?
Yeah, if we can
It's
go a
up to
little
you.
higher, I think we should try. We're doing up to 11 amps now per pin.
Should we try Port Royal?
Sure.
So I think this should put us around a little better than where we were, but we'll go higher after this.
We'll go higher.
No, fail.
Rats.
Is your card worse than mine?
Realistically, if all you want is power consumption be damned, the highest clock speed you can get, a lot of this is going to come less down to your particular skill at entering the numbers and more down to how lucky you get in the silicon lottery. But only for certain things. You know, for the RAM, for instance, okay, you're actually going to need to educate yourself somewhat in terms of what all the timings mean. But that netted us a couple percent of the performance increase we saw today. But then a couple percent of a few percent is, I guess, a lot. Oh, hamburgers.
Hamburgers.
Our power in this building sucks. We've had all kinds of issues overclocking in this corner in the past. So part of his stability woes may just be that we don't have a particularly clean power source. And you can have a great PSU in your computer all you want, but if it has dirty input power, that is going to work against it. It feels more stable already.
It does.
Does it actually?
Actually, a little, yeah.
It was
just
glitchy before.
Yeah.
Are you joking?
No, it was being a little.
We're so close. Legendary. We're legendary.
Let's go! We found what's after excellent! Let's go! Dude, we're at like.
3150?
Dude, we're at the point where the performance curve, the bell curve, is basically flat.
What's after legendary?
There can't be something after legendary. Okay, you must know, right? Like, is there something after legendary?
I really don't. I never have even read that it said legendary to me.
Literally, this man only sees the number. Dude, we got this. Here we go, 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 here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Let's go!
42-1.
There's like 4 systems that are above this number.
Can I see the hardware GPU Z thing? What does it say it was drawing? 890 watts. Holy. You're telling me these 5090s ain't got no headroom? I feel like you can do more, Splave.
Not today.
Just need more temps.
And we need to tell you about our sponsor.
No, it's Seasonic.
Oh yeah, Seasonic. Right, Seasonic. Good power. I mean,
Legendary power.
legendary even, you might say. We were able to drive a frickin' 900 watt GPU off of this thing. Like, do you really need to know more than that? We're gonna have Seasonic linked down below. We're also gonna have Splave's thermal compound down there, as well as his PC system integration business.
Thank you.
If you guys enjoy these kinds of shenanigans though, maybe you'll enjoy the last time that Alex and I tried using a modified BIOS to push 1,000 watts through a GPU.